Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Fandom Access on SciFi Vision or something. I don't know what we are anymore. Hey, look at Jesus. Ark's here.
Yep. Hello, Ark. Welcome back. We missed you last week. All right. Well, which do we want to talk about first? I assume you want to jump into the ones who live, but does anybody have anything else they want to mention first? And while you're doing that, I will tweet that we're going to talk about it.
No, I think we can. I'm sorry, I just got really distracted by our video screen where Jamie's avatar is like the background.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
I didn't even catch that until you said that.
It's very artistic. You're awesome, Jamie. No, I think we have four shows tonight, and two of them are new, and one of them is like a double episode finale. So I think we should just get on with our business for tonight. We don't have a lot of chit chat going on, right?
Yep.
All right.
Well, okay. Ark was sick. Well, we hope you're feeling better.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what do you want to start? I mean, we've both seen it now, so since I've been told to get in for a while, why don't you start and say what you think? And then
we always start with like a Walking Dead show when they're on, so let's go with The Ones Who Live. There were things that I didn't like, and I think that you could tell Jamie exactly scene by scene what I was going to like and what I wasn't going to like, right? But I think I think it was, so despite the fact that it was sort of unrelentingly depressing and everyone's really unlikable, including really Rick in a lot of ways, and I was a little bit like, God, I hate all these people. I'm glad it's only 6 episodes. But it was kind of good. They did the way they set up the exposition that they're recapping the last 5 years of Rick's life in like 20 minutes. They did that as though he's writing a series of letters to Michonne and or Judith. It's not really clear. I kind of liked that they did it that way instead of maybe having like a lot of shows do exposition and your main character just kind of blah, 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 dumps it on you. I think a lot of critics really liked this. It's generally, our own critic at SciFi Vision, Jill, liked it, right?
Yes, and I also liked it. We'll get to that.
and a lot of writers on some of the major outlets that people might be following really liked it. It's got a decent, it's got a pretty good Rotten Tomatoes for a show that, I think we really, by the end of the Flash series and certainly the end of Fear, I really thought this franchise was exhausted. And the spinoffs have been better. And this, has been better. I think Denai Guerrera and I think Andrew Lincoln are both credited as creators of the show. And they had, I guess, a lot of input into the show, which maybe is like helpful here, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, we can get into it, but I don't know it, like, I can't say like it wasn't like the first episode of like The Last of Us that I was like, this show is awesome, I can't wait to watch the whole 6. But I would say I'm encouraged by this first episode.
Yeah. Okay, to answer a couple things you said, yes, it does start pretty depressing. I think that's the world of The Walking Dead, though, and I feel like these episodes, and maybe that's part of it, are much more serious. Like sometimes The Walking Dead, not that it's meant to be funny, but sometimes it's little so much like over the top walkers. Sometimes it's not as, I guess, somber. I feel like these episodes are definitely, and I've seen 3 more of them, but I feel like they definitely focus more on the characters, which is what we were missing in the original story. There is not, now granted, the one episode, I'm trying to think back. I know at least one of the episodes had a good bit of walkers, but it isn't like the regular show where it feels sometimes like they're just trying to put in great effects and, make us go, ew. I didn't feel like that. I felt like it really focused on the story and on the characters through this. But yeah, it's definitely really depressing. I mean, Rick's considering committing suicide in like the first few minutes of the show. I mean, it wasn't perfect. Look, I'm not going to say it was perfect, but I did really like it. The one thing, there's two things that irritated me. I know the one definitely irritated you, which are, as much as I am definitely a Michonne fan, I think they, I like them together and everything. I did not really love the little dream sequences of him talking to Michonne and meeting her like at lunch at a workplace. I mean, it's not that I didn't per se like the way it was done, but like I don't think it was necessary. And since it wasn't real and it was like all in his head, I wasn't totally in love with that idea. So I will say that.
Look,
and I know you don't like dream sequences and shit like that.
I mean, I don't like I don't like dream sequences, like, kind of period. I rarely find one that I think is really well done.
But at least we knew it wasn't a dream. It wasn't like a hallucination type thing. So,
well, yeah, although it
wasn't quite. You found out after it was more him like fantasizing, dreaming, kind of. I guess.
And to your point about it being unnecessary, Jamie, I would say that like, no one's watching this show who's not already a fan of Rick and Michonne. Like, there's nobody who tuned in and was like, gee, who are they? Who's he talking about? Did they really meet this way? Like, that's just not happening. So it was a little, I don't know.
It was a little much.
I mean, I have complained that, to me, I didn't see the chemistry of them falling in love. And to me, they're in love because the show told me they're in love, not because I really saw it. Others might have seen it. So the whole meet cute. That's okay. I just thought the whole meet cute on the park bench was, to me, maybe not the best use of time.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I guess Ark didn't love the dream sequence of this either. So that she liked the dream, likes dream sequences if done right, but it was cringe. Yeah. Look, I've said before, I like the shippiness. Did they show enough of it on screen? Maybe not, but I think I've been more into it than you have. Perhaps.
Yeah.
But so the other big, before we get into their relationship, the other big thing I want to get into, and because Ark has her opinion, she said that they like that they put the comic book event in the show with Rick's hand. I actually, at least I'm assuming she's talking about Rick's hand. I actually had a completely different reaction to that. And I don't know how you felt about it. I sort of told you how I felt about it. Look, I understand what they did. And after the fact, I kind of in a way get it, because it was his desperation and he loved them so much. All he wants is to get back, and that's all he's thinking about. So I understand how they fit it in that way. And so I can say that them cutting his hand off, I don't dislike the way that they fit it into the story. However, that being said, we have heard multiple times that Kirkman regretted cutting Rick's hand off, and he wasn't doing it in the series. To me, it was really stupid after he made that statement, and has made it multiple times, to cut his hand off in the first 10 minutes of the series. That is why I didn't like it. It irritated. How did you feel about it?
So I felt kind of the same way. So, Kirkman has been on record saying he regrets cutting off Rick's hand in the comic book because it made it difficult story-wise, and he wouldn't do it again if he was going to redo the comic book. He kind of went both ways on the show. Like, we get why you don't cut a guy's hand off on the show, because it makes it then like really hard to shoot the next 11 seasons, and you got to CGI his hand out. It's really expensive and blah, blah, blah.
Or where
but yeah. Kirkman has also occasionally said that he kind of wanted Gimple to cut the hand off just because, like, as Ark pointed out in our comments, it was like an iconic frame in the comic book. And there have been several moments like that were brought to the screen that fans were maybe waiting for. Now, in the comic book, it's the governor who chops off Rick's hand, right? But it was this sort of like iconic thing in the like, Kirkman's kind of gone both ways on it, I think. I was like, holy crap, after like 11 years of not chopping his hand off.
They waited so long, right? Let me ask you, what was the reason the governor did that? Just to be cruel, or was he bit, or
he was trying to get information, and he was like, if you don't give me information, I'm gonna like rape and kill like your son and whatever. And then he chops Rick's hand off. AJ, mainly because he's psycho, right? And he's trying to get information. He wants Rick to reveal where the rest of his people are.
Okay, I was just
the governor was a lot crazier in the comics than he was in the show.
Okay.
It happens, Jamie, in like issue 25 or 30. It went on to be like 178 issues. Rick has no hand for the whole thing.
And what I was saying is like if they were going to do it, I liked the reasoning and the way it played out. I just didn't quite get the reasoning of why they decided as a show perspective. But it was not just Kirkman's choice either. I mean, it was everybody's choice, and maybe, who knows, maybe Andrew Lincoln championed for it. Who the hell knows? The point is, it was obviously a choice from a lot of people, and I get it, and it does work with the show. But yeah, now they have to either CGI it out or have him wear something, or
it's a little bit. It's a little bit of a silly concept, and AJ didn't watch it, but you can see in the picture. So Rick is like being forced to work on the zombie clearing crew for the CRM, right? You have to work for 6 years outside the walls before they let you move inside the walls. And Rick's like, I don't want to move inside your stupid wall. And they're like, too bad. Now that you know this place exists, we can't ever let you leave because like people try to come here. So Rick has tried to escape so many times that they now have this like guy in full armor has Rick on a leash, and that little like aircraft cable goes to a handcuff on Rick's wrist that you can kind of see better here.
Yeah, it's all metal.
And Rick is like so desperate to escape that he chops off his own hand with his hatchet, and then within maybe 30 seconds he's captured and brought back to the CRM. It's like the most I know, Jamie, they're trying to show that Rick is so desperate to get home that he will cut off his own hand, right?
But then he didn't follow through enough that he got away, so it wasn't worth it.
Yeah, and then they give him this cool fake prosthetic hand, which was kind of similar, as our friend.
The high-tech version of Aaron. And yeah, I was just going to say what Ark said. They sort of did that with Aaron. Yeah, he has a blade somehow hidden in his prosthetic
it's a
hand.
Fist. It's like a black fist, and a blade can shoot out of it, right? Yeah. It was, I was like, oh my God, he chopped off his hand, and now because he gets caught in 30 seconds. Oh, then he cauterizes his own hand by sticking the stump into a flaming zombie, to cauterize it. They were really trying to show Rick's like deep-seated, all-consuming desire to be with his family again. But I was like, oh my God, they cut off his hand. And then, it was crazy, right? It was crazy.
Well, at least if he got away, it would feel, I guess maybe it wouldn't have irritated me so much. Like, you're right, because he got caught in like 30 seconds. At least if he got away for a while, then it would have not felt so awful, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of press pictures with him with that on his hand, isn't there? I guess you can't show his hand again after this. We're going to do a lot of it now. Okay, so we need to talk about the other characters. So I was going to say, you want to move on to Thorn. I was going to say Ark's talking about Okafor, but let's talk a bit about Thorn first. So Thorn is, Leslie Ann Brandt, for one, who's from Lucifer. And she's kind of the person that he sort of ends up, I guess, friends with, if you can, in this world. And she obviously had struggled a lot like he did because she tried to kill Okafor multiple times. And try to get away. So they're both people who do not necessarily follow the rules. And speaking of, I want to mention this before I forget. They make a point where Okafor explains the whole thing about the A's and the B's and everything, right?
That is, where is he? I'm trying to show his picture so everybody knows who he is. But there he is. Here's a climactic part of the show.
So basically, he tells them that for people who don't know or haven't seen the other series, that they're A's because they don't follow the rules. But they're not telling people they're A's which is part of why Jadis said he was a B before, because they would have killed him right away if they didn't.
That really oversimplifies it. It's not that they just don't follow the rules.
It's that they won't.
It makes no sense. Like, I get it. And when we watched the World Beyond, we didn't know who was an A and who was a B, and we thought maybe the A's were people that got sent to be tested zombie virus on.
Yeah, they are, but
Yeah.
it's because they won't follow the rules and they know
But
that they
it's
can't
not
control
that they
them.
won't follow the rule. I mean, I think
They
that's
can't control
oversimplifying
them.
it.
I don't
It's
think
that
they won't follow the rules. They can't control them, and they're natural leaders.
it's that they're, yes, there you go, that they're natural leaders, and they look, there's something very suspicious and creepy going on right inside this town, and they only want to have a bunch of sheep and not any true leaders who might ask questions. It's not so much that they won't they'll follow rules that make sense to them and that are fair and just.
Yeah, you know what I said, but they're a natural leader. They won't.
Yeah.
They're not just sheep. Now, Ark's saying about Okafor trying to break Rick, and he definitely does, but we find out, I mean, definitely tries to, but we find out after that Okafor is not happy with the way the CRM is. So he is basically taking him and Thorne because he believes that they could potentially help him to change the CRM from the inside. At least that's to make it a better. I mean, he wants to save the world. He wants to make it better, I guess, for lack of a
right. Like the CRM,
but he doesn't want the CRM to be the way it is. He wants
the military controls everything outside the walls, and then the CRM is some sort of like lovely little like, so the CRM is like, first of all, they like, you know, like are perfectly safe in this beautiful park where they can see the destroyed Philadelphia skyline over there and like hang around in the park. And Rick, like, once Rick is like, okay, I'll get with the program, he has this nice apartment, he has a lamp with electricity, he has TV, and there are actual television broadcasts to watch on that TV, right?
Yeah.
Like like it's a sweet life inside, but Rick is faking it because he just wants to like bide his time to escape, right?
Yeah, which everybody else is trying to get this life. That one guy, and I don't remember his name, but the one that's his friend, they're all trying to
Esteban.
Esteban.
Yeah.
They're trying to get in there and get this to happen.
And the boss of it all is Terry O'Quinn, plays General Beale.
Yes, who they've mentioned General Beale multiple times on the other shows, and we finally get to find out who it is.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just kind of the head of it. Now, the other thing we need to talk about is Sorry, go ahead.
I want to talk about you mentioned Okafor wants to kind of overthrow General Beale, right? Because he knows, Okafor knows what we know from watching The World Beyond, that the CRM wiped out Omaha and blamed it on a zombie herd.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't, I don't think he has proof, does he? Or does he?
I don't think so. And he wants Rick and Thorne to like be like sleeper agents that will rise through the ranks of the CRM over a period of years and rise to leadership positions. And that he's playing a long con here for sure, right? And Rick's like, I'm out. And Okafor's like, I don't think you're out. I'm gonna have to shoot you. And I thought that was the best scene in the whole show, maybe.
With the pictures of, that was a good scene.
Where they have that fight.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, I feel like Okafor is kind of, I don't know if I want to use the word desperate, but in a way he is. Like, he wants to change it, and he's looking for people he thinks agree with him, that he can trust, that he believes want to save the world and want to make it a better place. Like, he believes it as much as Rick wants to escape, and he's tried multiple times, that he thinks that if he has a purpose, at least that's how I took it, that if he has a purpose and he feels like he can change things for the better, that he would be willing to stay. Now, that remains to be seen whether, Rick will move that way or not.
And he has to be kind of like, Rick, look, you're never going to see them again. They're gone. Yeah. It's over. Even if they're alive, you need to like give it up. And the best you could do for them is help to change the world.
Which,
right.
Yeah.
So as part of changing the world,
somehow my light flickered. It scared me. I don't know why it scared me, but it did. Made me jump. Sorry. Go ahead.
So they have this big kind of awesome fight. He convinces, like, Rick is like, okay, I'm down. I'm going along with it. Although I think Rick is still secretly not going along with it. And as part of this, Rick is trained, and in the next scene, he's a helicopter pilot.
They jumped some time ahead.
Well, I mean, like, as the show opens, it's 5 years since the bridge, but because there was a time jump, like in the real world, it's probably, they're trying to catch up with like maybe 10 years, however long it's been, right?
Yeah. Wait, I just want to add this quickly. I know it seemed familiar, but I can't remember why. She's saying, was it Morgan's book? I knew the book looked familiar, but I didn't like really give it much thought. Do you know what the book was?
I was looking at the books, but I watched another show this week that had tons of books in it also.
I think the only thing I remember is vaguely, I think it had an Ouroboros in the cover, and that was what I remember.
Yeah. I'm going to have to Google what book.
You'll have to enlighten us, Ark. You picked up a little thing we didn't. But what I wanted to mention that I was getting to the part before that I was trying to say is that we find out, and correct me if I'm wrong before I say this, but we find out that Okafor, what he did and why he's in the position he is, correct?
What he did and why. Well, he's dead by the end of the episode.
No, but that's right, duh. Yeah, so I guess it had to be in this episode, didn't it?
Yeah.
That he helped bomb. I think he helped bomb the other cities. But, Philadelphia was meant to go the way of other cities, but even though his wife was there, he couldn't do it. He couldn't massacre all the people, and he chose not to follow the rules and not to kill everybody, and that's why Philadelphia was standing.
Yeah, so he bombed Atlanta. Atlanta, and even though he was in the military, even though his wife was a Marine on the ground in Atlanta, he knew he had to bomb Atlanta to wipe out the zombies. Now, he bombed that. Atlanta wasn't bombed. We saw Rick go into Atlanta. He bombed a camp outside of Atlanta or whatever, right? He didn't we saw Rick in the unless Atlanta gets bombed later. The whole first season of Walking Dead is in the Atlanta area, right?
Yeah.
And eventually he bombs Philadelphia also, right? This scene. I mean, part of this with them with part of this that I'm showing on the screen was him being Rick. I mean, Rick's kind of. He's I lost someone. I got to get back.
I guess they bombed Philadelphia, but he refused to bomb this area. Let's say near Philadelphia. Yeah. That's why.
But Okafor's I lost everyone. Don't say I didn't lose anything. I don't know what it's like. I mean, he kind of lost more. I mean, Rick.
Yeah, because Rick has a family still. And Ark says that it's the art of peace. It started Morgan's journey. Okay. Yeah, and the nuclear attack in Texas. Yeah. They connected that's kind of interesting, by the way. I just want to say, because they connected Atlanta, they connected Texas, and obviously they connected the World Beyond thing. So they did kind of link not Dead City, but the other shows they kind of linked together, which was good.
So to Ark's question, do you think that Morgan is going to show up before the end of this? It's only 6 episodes for him to maybe find I don't know. It's only 6 episodes. Could this show end with Rick getting back to Alexandria and Morgan's there, because we know Morgan has left Texas to come back to Alexandria now? I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, so Rick becomes a helicopter pilot somehow. And they're flying. They're instructed to go build a forward operating base in the Cascades, which is in Oregon. So it seems like maybe General Beale wants to wipe out the Portland colony also, right? Because there's 3 colonies. There was Omaha, Portland, and Philadelphia. The hidden city of Philadelphia. And we know about the secret base in Buffalo or wherever in New York where World Beyond took place. But that's really a military secret installation. But he's instructing Rick to go to, I'm not sure where the helicopter crash takes place, but Rick and
Morgan's looking for Rick. And we do know in this show that they can find who they're looking for, even if it's across the country and they're walking. Yeah. So if they want Morgan to find Rick, they'll find Rick.
But I don't know where Rick and Okafor were. If they had just left Philadelphia, they must have just left Philadelphia. They could not have gotten to Portland because their aircraft comes under attack by some surface-to-air missiles, anti-helicopter grenades, whatever. Someone's shooting some serious firepower at them, and they crash. And, of course, everybody dies except Rick, who's able to, crash, right? And guess who was shooting at him?
Yeah, and she almost kills him too.
She almost kills him.
That scene. I mean, yes, it's like all the other ones. Oh my God, how the hell did she meet up with him? But I did like that scene where, when she goes to kill him and realizes it's him.
I liked it.
He didn't have that. if he didn't block that with his metal arm too, she probably would have killed him.
She had her sword, yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I liked it because I didn't expect them to introduce Michonne so early in the episode. And I thought maybe we were going to have 5 episodes of Rick and Michonne trying to find each other and then not getting together until the last episode. And they put them together early now. And I guess it's about them trying
I'm
to.
not sure why it was such a secret because of that, but hey, like I said before, I do what I'm told. So,
or if it's going to be about them trying to get back home now. But I also kind of loved her costume and hated her costume at the same time. I'm not like it's kind of cool and it's kind of ridiculous. It's a little like post. I don't know. It's a little like it's funny that on this show sometimes they're able to find full SWAT gear, body armor, and other times they have to sew little pieces of football uniforms and leather together to make like whatever. But it's kind of cool looking, and I guess that face mask is to prevent zombies from biting your face, which is kind of cool. I thought it was kind of cool looking, and I was just kind of really glad that they brought them together and they're not dragging all that out. And now we don't have to have more dreams about her. We can cut the dream sequence because they're legit together for now.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the central conflict is going to be of this show aside from the CRM bad, Rick good, but like, is Rick really bought in? Like, will it be hard for like, do we think there's any chance Michonne's going to find it hard to convince him to leave? That Rick's really bought in? I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, I cannot comment because I've seen further, so
okay.
You'll have to wait and see. And Ark didn't like the samurai headpiece, apparently. It was a little weird, but
it does seem like she might be able to find something a little better than having to. Now, I don't know if we'll get a flashback next week. I think we're going to get a flashback next week to where she's been for the last however long it's been since she left her children to find Rick. I mean, I would guess. I don't really know. I haven't seen it, but I imagine we're going to get a little backtrack. I mean, I know where we've seen some promo shots where she appears to have not found Rick yet. So I'm guessing next week might be flashbacky to where she's been for the last 5 years. But I'm encouraged that this might be. It's a short season, and it might just be like them trying to get away from the serum and get back to Alexandria. And maybe, right, like this was intended to be 3 2-hour movies. And because of production delays, writing delays, and COVID, they converted it to this 6-hour series instead, which I think I'm going to like better. I think I'm going to appreciate it.
Considering I can't like walk in a movie theater right now, I like it a lot better.
Well, if you had to wait for 3 movies, you'd wait a year and a year and a year, or longer in between, right? It would take 3 years for them to drop 3 movies on us. So, so anyway, so I was encouraged by that. I liked that we saw them together at the end in a way that I didn't expect. And I'm generally more positive on it than I.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the first episode has to have a good bit of exposition and recapping of to some extent of the series. Yeah. So I think it only gets better. I mean, I think you'll be for the most part surprised. Like I said, it's not perfect, but I've liked it. I mean, I've watched the first couple and then I wanted to keep going and I watched them all, and so not all of them. I watched what I got. Let me rephrase that. But yeah, so I don't know. I think it's good. I like it. I think that they're doing a better job with these newer spinoffs than they clearly were with the end of the regular show and with Fear. So
yeah. So all right.
Alrighty. Well, I guess we should move on.
Yep. So we had the 2
episodes opposite team than Rick. Yeah. Sure. Sorry,
I'm moving on too fast.
No, I just was reading what Ark's saying that Michonne's fighting on the opposite team as Rick. Yes, currently he's with the CRM. Now, whether he like you said, Karen, whether he's bought into the CRM or he's still trying to escape or whatever. We'll have to wait and to the second episode to see how that goes.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So, Quantum Leap.
Okay, so Quantum Leap, it was not a 2-hour finale. I mean, it was really 2 1-hour episodes
Right.
with 2 separate leaps that sort of were connected. So let's go to AJ, Mr. Quiet.
Yes. You caught me off guard. I thought you guys were going to do Constellation next, but Quantum Leap works.
That's what I thought too. Okay.
We can move. You want to move and just do it? Let's just do it. Let's do.
Well, we already started Quantum Leap. Let's just.
Right.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I could just mute again when you move on to the Constellation. Anyway, I was surprised. I think Jamie mentioned something in text, but I did not see the Jeffrey thing coming until right before it happened.
Yeah, same. Karen did. Karen made it. Karen's the one that texted us. I wonder if it's him. So
I think I only texted Jamie. I think I didn't text.
Oh, okay. Well, she texted me. She had figured it out.
Yeah,
I didn't think.
Yeah,
I didn't see it till right open there either.
Yeah, I mean, it was an unexpected. It was a pretty good idea. I honestly though I felt a little cheated in the second episode because they resolved it so quickly and easily. I was kind of surprised by that. I mean, he was a villain for all of 5 minutes, which I felt like it was going to be a lot lengthier than it was. Something I did see coming though was when Magic was leaving, and Jen's like, "This is ridiculous," and he's like, "It's okay, it's gonna be all right." I'm thinking he's going to get Janice, and they're gonna like set up their own shop outside. That I figured out before that happened.
Yeah.
So, and a fun thing about our little finale cliffhanger. First of all, that's the thing I kept thinking the whole time is, I mean, I thought it was pretty obvious it was Hannah's code the whole time, but I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, wait, Hannah's code.
I figured it was Jeffrey's code. Before we knew who Jeffrey was, I figured that maybe Jeffrey, in order to save his father, ended up coming up with it. Or
gotcha.
To, save his mother, whatever. Because I didn't know what was going to happen to her.
Hannah's code to save Ben, it's like it's quote unquote saves Ben, but it has to switch with somebody else. So I don't really see how you're saving anyone. Like find a code to bring them back. Period. And then when Addison steps up and she's like, "You've already got a leaper," and I'm thinking, yeah, I know you're supposed. I'm thinking I knew she was supposed to be the original leaper, but doesn't her leaping and bringing Ben home defeat the entire purpose of them being together? Like,
yeah, I thought that. I'm like, at that point, I was like, no, don't do this. This is tragic. This is horrible. He finally comes home just to have her gone. I honestly believe they were going to do that, and I figured maybe if there's another season, it would be Addison in the machine. So I was pleasantly surprised when they were both there.
Yeah, when they both ended up there. Well, here's the fun thing about that. So the original Quantum Leap was unceremoniously canceled. So there was a lot of retooling at the end. They really believed they were going to get a season 6 originally, and then NBC pulled the rug out from under them, which is how we end up with the title card at the end. But that was the plan for season 6 originally, where Al decides the only way to save Sam is he's going to have to leap after him to bring him back.
I didn't know that. And Art's saying that this does open for them to do something with Sam, and it does. I mean, I could see them doing something with him, but if they do, I don't think it'll be till the end that they do, if he's going to be a guest or something. And we don't even know if they're coming back for sure. So.
Well, I actually read I read an interview with the current showrunner, and they said that first of all, they're hoping that NBC renews them. Because they haven't heard, they do not know yet whether or not they are getting a season 3. But they want to focus, if the whole, he says, listen, I know the fans want to see Sam and everything. He goes, but who's to say if that is ever going to happen? And if it does happen, you're not going to know it's going to happen until it happens. So
Well, I mean,
that's
there's a lot of things
something
that go into that, and he has to be willing to do it. That's not just like a thing that they write
Well,
it
yeah.
in and it's done. So
Well, exactly. Scott, that's exactly it. It's got something that's got to happen. And I can't see Scott Bakula not wanting to do it at the right time and done right. You can't. They're not going to do it just for the sake of doing it.
yeah,
It's gonna fit in
yeah,
with everything.
yeah. I don't know.
I'm not sure how necessary it is. So, I mean, would I like to see it?
Yeah, it's not
No,
necessary.
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure how much of the fan base is old people like us who watch the original, and how many like this show is good enough and
That's a good chunk of
standalone that I'm sure it has plenty of fans who didn't watch the original.
Yeah, but I didn't watch
yeah.
the original, and I'd like to see him come back. So I mean,
Yes.
I think with Sam, I think at this stage it's going to be one of those things where if they know the show is ending, and then they bring both Sam and Ben and now Addison back. I mean, who knows how this is going to play out with the two of them? But I think that's pretty cool.
They're going to try to bring him back for a while because if they try to bring him back, they're going to end up with more people there. And Art's saying, "Who's calling old? She's calling us old. We're old." Yeah, I need.
Yeah.
I'm old enough to watch the original. I just haven't watched it. I've watched a couple here and there. I just haven't watched it.
I mean, I agree with pretty much all of that, what you guys have said. I mean, digging in a little, I think the first leap was better. The firefighter leap was just a better leap, right?
Part of it, yes.
Yeah. That Ben has to be a firefighter, and like, of course, guess whose apartment building is on fire? It's Hannah's, right?
Thought she'd never see him again, or wait, is it in this one? She says no. This is where she had already said she wouldn't see him again.
This one she says she'll never see him again, and then sees him again in the next leap.
Okay. Either way, she saw him again.
You know, all that was pretty good. So I figured out as soon as Jeffrey picks up the letter, and it's like from. It's like addressed to Hannah. I texted Jamie immediately and I was like, oh my, I bet Jeffrey grows up to be Gideon and he hates Ben. And that's why he's like doing all of this. I sort of like, it just came to me as soon as I saw him pick up the letter in this episode. But I liked the way the leap worked. I also liked how they like Hannah ends up being like, get that gypsum board. It's fireproof. Let's like blah, blah. Right. And then of course, like, Jeffrey pulls like a "Where's Carl?" And nobody can find him. He's gone back up. I just like that whole bit with the leap. The bit about Hannah's code, I kind of like the way she's like, I know why the accelerator puts us together, and it's kind of like not. It's a little chicken and the egg. Like she said, like, is the accelerator putting them together because they're in love? As was implied earlier, or is the accelerator putting them together because she can solve the code to bring him home? But if they hadn't fallen in love, she wouldn't be motivated to find the code to send him home, right?
Right.
It's one of those like roundabout, like, what do you believe is the reason there? I'm thinking that maybe the accelerator is putting them together because she can find the code, and them falling in love was like sort of collateral there. In the meantime, everyone gets fired from Quantum Leap, right?
Yeah.
And
Madison thinks she can take out a whole group of military men by herself.
Of course she can.
That was the most. So the second leap I didn't like as much, the NASCAR leap, and I used to be a huge NASCAR fan, and I really wanted to see him race. He only raced the clock to try to prevent his father from having a heart attack, right?
Mm-hmm.
I agree that it was solved too quickly, and Jeffrey in 2 minutes, Ben. I mean, I kind of like the idea, like, they're like, you got to kill Jeffrey. And he's like, no, I can. There is some good in Darth Vader.
No, not kill Jeffrey. They didn't say kill Jeffrey. They kill his confidence.
Yeah.
And destroy his computer.
I mean, Ian does say, "Does Ben going to have to strangle baby Hitler?" And they're like,
Well, but I don't
Well,
think
yeah,
he meant it literally. At least I didn't take it literally because he said about the computer.
and then they're like, "If you destroy his computer, you can destroy his confidence." And then Ben is like, "Oh, let's like
Do it a
build."
different way. Yeah.
It was all very Ben, like, "Oh, you know."
yeah.
Well, but Ben always does what he wants, so
Ben's always like, "I can save
Yeah.
him. There is good in my father. I know it." Kind of BS. To me, Gideon, like I complained about Gideon in the past being too powerful, and how does this billionaire get control of Quantum Leap? And he basically says in one of these episodes, he says like, "Oh, go ahead and call Congress. They do whatever I tell them."
yeah,
And
it's Ben's fault he was able to do it because he followed his stock tips he gave Hannah.
I know, but I'm sorry, but it strains credulity that he has complete free hand to just take over an ultra secret military Pentagon operation with no like government.
TV, when you're really rich, you can do anything.
No, Jamie, you
No,
can't.
I'm saying that doesn't make sense, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, and look, it's easy to make a billionaire. Look, billionaires are not a good force in this country for the most part, in my opinion. Don't start calling me conservatives and complaining. But the idea that he's got a complete takeover of this operation with and he's got these henchmen who are willing to like, they just shoot. I had a picture of dead Jen in here somewhere. Like they just shoot civilians because he says so, right?
I know, like why couldn't they have just taken the damn tablet from her? I was like so annoyed she didn't get it to 100% first. Like I thought if they were going to kill her, she was at least going to get it to 100%.
She did.
But,
She did.
No, but yeah, but she didn't hit the button to make it go. Whatever. She didn't finish it.
It says complete. It says 100%.
Yes. It says complete, but then it says something like hit a key to continue, and he cancels it. So whatever it was, she didn't quite finish it. Like she finished it, but she didn't hit it to go for it to shut everything down or whatever.
Okay,
anyway,
well, that's not the part that strains my imagination. It's the part where these guys are just like, yeah, we'll just shoot this woman. And then he's like, when Ben steps out of the accelerator, shoot him. He's got these. Are they military? Are they? And then there's a point where somebody
they look more like mercenaries.
Then they call Tom off screen and they're like, Tom, we need your help. Tom works for the Pentagon and all they want from him is his ID. Like, how about Tom,
why didn't he come help?
Can you call the army?
Yeah. And Art is saying, what about the uncle? Did he help get money as well as stock tip? I don't think the uncle didn't know anything. Ben didn't give him anything, so I don't know that.
Well, the uncle was definitely a get rich quick kind of guy. Who knows?
Right.
Yeah.
We don't know about the stocks, so we don't really know what happened to him.
The uncle was shady as hell.
Yeah. Oh, we did find out. That's the other thing I was going to say. We did find out that Hannah. It was kind of the whole catalyst for this. That Hannah's husband found the letter, and that's why he went out driving, and that's how he ended up dead, and that's why Gideon / Jeffrey blamed Ben. Which I gotta say, look, I understand caused it, and I understand that because this is kind of what irritated me a little bit. I understand that a kid can think it's his fault, but Gideon as an adult knows that Ben did not try to hurt his father. He knows that Ben tried to save his father. Did you kind of feel like some of it that when he was older, it was like he was really like this petulant kid? Like I kind of struggle with the fact that he blamed him as an adult and continued to blame Ben to the point that he wanted to destroy everything because of Ben. Like he's old enough to understand that what happened because of Ben, but it was not intentional.
Well, and I agree with you.
Yeah, listen, I agree with that too. I mean, there's a lot of, everything Karen has said, and I agree. Gideon is very problematic all the way around. That was definitely the weakest part of the whole story is the way they depicted him.
Well, and Gideon's big plan was to go back in time and make subtle changes here and there so that his father doesn't die and his mother doesn't. Is that what his plan was? Like, it wasn't really.
Yes, but yet
no, it was a temper. No,
to kill people.
Yeah, it was a temper tantrum. It was a temper tantrum. He wanted to go back in time and screw up. He wanted to screw up the stuff Ben fixed.
So I texted Jamie At one point, sorry people for saying like an off-color word, plug your ears, but I texted Jamie, I said, oh my God, this guy's such a dick, which really is just what he was. And I think you're right. Petulant baby. I think he's old enough and he's like an internet genius or whatever, right? He's old enough, I think, to understand.
He would have moved on, I feel like.
You can't change things in time without massive repercussions, right? Like
Yeah,
Ben's idea, like
it happens with villains, but I feel like unless he was like an evil person and continued to be completely evil, like I just feel like he would have in a way gotten over it, I guess. A little bit.
I did. So did you guys think, I was kind of surprised that, I mean, I wasn't in the beginning part of the episode when it began to become clear that they were going to resolve Gideon pretty quick. I was a little maybe disappointed. There was a part of me that thought maybe next season is going to be about like trying to steal Quantum Leap back, right? Like I thought Tom was the big bad all season. He's not. It's Gideon.
No, we know. Yeah,
it's Gideon, and then Gideon last.
It's wrapped up in case they don't come back.
Well, as AJ said, Gideon's around for like 2 minutes. So I hear you, Jamie. Like, did they wrap it because they don't know if they're coming back? But like, I get it, but I also feel like, look, I'm not the head of this franchise, and I have people who have jobs and whatever that rely on me as the writer. But like, would I like to see? Could they wrap it in a way that takes a chance that? I don't know, like they wrapped up Gideon in no time, and the cliffhanger is just that Addison changed places with Ben, which, okay, so.
But she didn't. She didn't change places.
Okay, but
she's there with him.
You're right.
No,
I think that's
going to happen.
The idea was like that there always has to be a leaper, and the only way to bring Ben home was to replace him with someone else. And Addison is like, I'm going to make that I love him. I realize I still love him. I'm going to make that sacrifice so Ben can come home. And I was like, okay, that's the next season. Like, that's a way to keep it fresh. Next year, Addison's the leaper. And like, maybe she behaves differently in leaping situation, right? Like, maybe it's interesting. Maybe it's not that interesting. I don't know. But yeah, then she, and there's not a picture. I can only get what NBC puts out there. And they didn't put a shot of like the two, she sees him and they're both there together. Right. Which is, I guess, like now they're both stuck in time, or are they? He could bloop in the first 1 minute of the new season, right? Who knows?
That's true.
I think it's. I mean, if they get a season, if they do get renewed, which I really hope they do, I think having the two of them leaping together, I think is going to be very interesting, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
It was nice to see them touch and be able to like actually touch each other for the first time. Even though she must be in another person's body also, right? She must have leapt into someone's body.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
So now they're both.
Now here's the $1 million question though.
Yeah.
So the rule has always been, because she's in the imaging chamber, he can see her and she sees him as Ben. But in that moment, they're both leapers. So how does she know that's Ben?
Good point. She's seeing him in someone else's body.
Why wouldn't she? Yeah, but they probably can recognize each other because they're both leapers.
They're both leaping.
That's never been.
They didn't see. Okay, hold on. They didn't see.
I was gonna say, what about Leaper X?
Oh no. Okay. No, you know what? I just answered my own question because they did see Gonzalez.
Leaper X.
The evil leaper. What was his
evil
name?
Leaper. I forget his name.
X.
Leaper X.
Leaper X. That's right. Leaper X could see Ben, and Ben could see him. So never mind. I just answered my own question.
They can see each other. Yeah, it was a good twist. As you said, Jamie, I get it. Maybe you don't want to leave a cliffhanger of next season chasing a big bad. And I'm not sure what happened. So when Ben turns. Shorthand turns Jeffrey good. Like he sets butterfly effect achieved. He sets Jeffrey on a different path. And so all this mess never happens. And so Janice coming to I liked how they brought in that Janice had remember when Janice set up her own chamber and they brought I liked how they tied that all back to last year. but now it has never actually happened, and no one remembers it except for Addison.
Yeah, nobody remembers it. Well, Ben does, but yeah.
Something else I hope for next season, especially now that Addison is leaping. I really hope they bring Janice into the fray more. Like I hope she joins.
Well, maybe she'll be the hologram.
That could be fun.
Yeah, that could definitely be fun.
It could be. I like Janice as a foil for Ian because she's as smart as Ian, or smarter. Yeah. Janice might be the smartest person of them all, but she's rebellious, kind of like Ian and Jen are. And I do like her. I like the actress who plays her, whose name I have to look up real quick.
Excuse me.
But yeah, it would be fun if they brought her in.
One of the reasons I like having Janice around because it's just another piece that ties to the original, you know. I like even though they don't remember it, I like when they do the little exposition that Beth actually remembers that she didn't originally wait for Al. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because of how that went down in the finale of Quantum Leap.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. Well, now we have to wait a long long time now for them to get renewed and to write the show and bring it back. Although they're pretty fast. They write and produce pretty quickly on the show compared to some others. This show, I say it almost every week, but this show has been like, to me, like such a nice surprise that they've done such, I think, a good job with it of a previous property and not, ruining it. Yeah. And yeah, we hear you, Ark. It would be great to have Janice as the hologram, and her dad was Hal. Yeah,
oops, took it off. Oops, sorry.
Her dad was the original hologram.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah, you were. So, all right. Any more comments on that one?
No, I think that's about it. Just to say that the other interviews are still up there. People do want to see them just because they like the show. Although I never did get to talk to the producers because they canceled the interview, so it didn't happen. But I'm sure there's other ones.
Yeah,
please, people, please. I want to do a shout out. I know a lot of people are watching this through NDB or through Twitter or whatever. It's nice. It would be helpful if sometimes you watch our YouTube videos of interviews or watch this podcast through YouTube Live, so we can maybe monetize it a little bit and help me fix my site. So I know it's still having issues. Everybody complains it doesn't work right.
All right,
getting followers. So we always plug all the followers, and we're getting up there in watch hours. They changed all what you need to have. So it's. You got to have 3,000 watch hours for the year. It's a lot. So
there's a lot.
Trying to get there.
All right. Good reminder. Thanks.
Sure. And we have a new viewer, A&L, who is in our chat now. So thank you.
Hello. Hi, A&L. All right. Let's take it to Constellation real quick, Jamie.
Yeah. Sounds like a good plan.
Sorry that
AJ has not seen this, correct?
No. And AJ might watch it. He might watch it. He when we talked before the show, he was slightly confused because this is a woman-led show set partially in space, and I think he might have thought I was talking about For All Mankind.
Okay.
Different woman-led show set partially in space. First 3 episodes are out on Apple TV. It will go now to 1 episode per week, I think, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. I don't know how many there are because I didn't look it up. It's
probably 8, I think. God, I'm bad. I watch them all at once, but I don't pay attention to how many there are. It's in my interview. It says how many there are. How bad it is. I don't know. I'm looking while I'm talking to you. I can find it. It's
the 4th episode comes out tomorrow. And so I'm not sure how long it's supposed to be. I could probably look.
Either 6 or 8. I can't remember which.
That's very short.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm looking. I'm trying to find the.
So the main character in this show is Jo Erickson is her name, played by Naomi Rapace, plays her, and she is an astronaut who is on like an advanced space station. I think this is actually set like in 20, like I don't know what, but it's basically in our current time frame. And she's on this space station. She has a husband named Magnus, who's she's Swedish, right? Her husband's German, and her daughter is named
Alice.
Alice.
And just to interrupt you, sorry, I was just going to say, it says that there's the first 3 and then weekly and through March 27th. So that's, I think, 4 more. So it must be 8, I'm guessing, if I added that right in my head.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was either 6 or 8.
Yeah. So James Darcy plays the husband, Magnus, and there's a set of twins. Davina and Rosie Coleman play Alice. And she is out in space, and there is an accident on the space station. I thought the space episodes looked pretty good, Jamie, right?
I think they looked awesome. And I should say, too, if you haven't, make sure you, again, for interviews, check out the interviews for this, because they did talk about, I asked them about filming some of the space scenes. And I thought it was interesting. The director was saying that they even used a drone for part of it to film it.
Oh, yeah?
Like, super new tech they used. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I thought these shots inside the space, okay, I was going to say realistic, but look, I don't know what a space station.
I don't know what a space station looks like,
right? But I thought the shots where she's in space and she's in a spacesuit looked very good. The shots where they're like floating around, like it all, I thought was well done. The shots where I'm going to use the word hallucinates. We'll get to this. I don't think she's hallucinating, but where at first you think she's hallucinating, that she's in she's going down the space station hallway and then it looks like a corridor of an apartment or whatever, right? Like I thought those transitions were shot great. It all looks really good, and all that stuff in the snow looks really good also, right?
Yeah, I would say the only thing I want to say, if you're watching this, and at this point, I was going to say, I know when I first started watching it, I was completely lost and I felt really stupid. Apparently, everybody was lost, even the cast filming it. But because I was kind of like, is this happening after we got the cabin in the woods? We have this going on. Just stick with it. That's all I want to say. If you're confused, stick with it. It's where, if you like the kind of sci-fi that we talk about and watch, you will like this. I suggest.
Yeah. And I will say, maybe before we move on to the story, you and I spoke earlier. It's slow. It starts out
in the beginning, because there's a lot, I think, to introduce. I feel like there's a lot going on, but as much as some of it seems like it's not important right now, it is. I'll say that. Like, there is a lot of moving parts, but they become important later.
Also, it's Apple TV, and they are just slow. Invasion started out slow, and you didn't see an alien until like episode 5, right? It's very character driven in Invasion, and Foundation.
I'm not sure if that's out here or that's coming through your phone. I hear an ambulance.
Oh, I live by a hospital. I'm sorry.
No, I know. I figured it was coming from you, but it sounds like it's in my backyard.
I didn't even hear it. I'm so used to it, I didn't even hear it. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see the flashing lights out my window.
Okay. I just wondered if it was around here or there. Sorry.
And also, Foundation. Foundation was so slow. It's really the middle of season 2 where Foundation really gets good, right? Like season 1 is like a painful slog. I'm sorry, Apple TV, but it is a painful slog. And I just think these Apple TV Silo, not slow, right? Silo kind of really jumped right in. But I thought it was slow, and I was like,
it was somewhat slow, but I feel like I found it more confusing than slow. Like, I wanted to know what happened. I wanted right away, but it was a lot to get through to try to figure it out.
I want to get
completely not in a way figure it out like Lost, what the hell is going on? Like, I want to, but a way like you're really confused. Like, you're wondering sometimes, is this going to make sense? Type of confusion.
So between it being slow and like in between all this stuff happening in space, and there's like an explosion on the space station, and they're losing life support is very exciting. And then it cuts to like people walking in the snow in the dark, right? And between it being slow and it being scientifically confusing, like it can be maybe a barrier. But I gotta say to you both, like I have begun to really trust Apple on sci-fi. They have, like, for me, the last like 3 or 4 sci-fi I've watched. Okay, so the Changeling like went a little off the rails near the end, right? But the last like several things, like I've just started to like really trust Apple on their sci-fi, and I'm willing to like stick with a slow first 2 episodes to get to where we're going. To me, Jamie, to where it gets confusing. So
Yeah, I
Joe
don't know
has
where it
to,
ends at, so I'm letting you kind of tell the plot so I don't go too far.
yeah. So Joe has to. So there are 2 escape cats. So everybody evacuates, and because
Well, not everybody, because
all right, yes,
because Paul Lancaster dies. He is an important part. The one astronaut gets
So this
dies.
guy is his arm is crushed and he bleeds. He dies. It's a terrible, catastrophic thing that happens. Some people evacuate in like one of the Soyuz capsules, and because of things that happen that we can't get into, Joe has to evacuate by herself with Paul's dead body in the second capsule to get back to Earth. She loses comms, and so all the stuff happens where she seems to be hallucinating or imagining things, right?
Yeah.
Until she can land in the desert in this very strange sequence of
that was cool how the capsule like landed there and they came and found her. So it's kind of like in the middle of nowhere. That was pretty cool. I like that.
And
But
nowhere
yeah, she had to come back alone because there wasn't enough room for 3 people. There wasn't enough. There wasn't enough room. There wouldn't have been enough oxygen for 3 people. So the other 2 people went home while she stayed there and assumedly would maybe not get home. But in the end, she gets back.
Yeah. In the end, she makes it back to Earth. But there's this whole other thing going on where Jonathan Banks plays this guy whose name I totally forget right now.
I can tell you. He plays twins, actually. But the one you're thinking of is Henry. That's Henry. Yeah.
His name is Henry, the bald guy?
Henry Caldera. And also Barbara from 12 Monkeys, by the way.
Well, her name, the actress's
name is Barbara. That's a Barbara Sakawa. Sorry. The character's name is Irene Lysenko, but the actress's name is Barbara.
Yeah, her name is Barbara Sakawa. She was in 12 Monkeys. She played Jones in 12 Monkeys.
Yeah, she did.
So there's this thing going on where they were performing an experiment, and the whole time human beings are about to die. This was
the confusing part, at least for me, the first confusing part. He wants them to bring back the experiment, whatever it is. We don't exactly understand what it is.
Well, we do know because they said that they managed to create a new state of matter.
Oh, that's right. Okay,
but it can only exist in zero. It can only exist in zero gravity, right? And it's a new state.
They're trying to get the results of it, I guess. Basically,
He's obsessed. Everyone thinks Joe is insane when she comes down and reports some of the things that she saw while she was in right. Like she's like, I'm telling you that the debris that hit us was a corpse, blah blah. All that's going on. And then it also involves these sort of, are they time jumps? They're flash forwards to.
I assumed they were flash forwards.
Yes, I assume that basically most of the show is a flashback. I assume that this part in the snow in Sweden is sort of the current time, and everything that happened in space and leading up to this is sort of a flashback, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of think I figured out what's going on, and I owe it all to our good friend Vincent Madison back from our days on Lost.
What is your theory? I won't tell you whether you're right or not, but what's your theory?
Well,
I kind of figured some of it out fairly early on, and I think it's because we did watch a lot of
because our possibly evil or not evil, like former astronaut who's obsessed with this experiment he talks about quantum physics and the idea that like a particle like after like
Can
the
exist
laws
in
of relativity
Yeah.
are different from like quantum physics and
Yeah, it had me thinking of Quantum Leap too for some of their explanations. I'm like, hey, wait, they talked about that. On
yeah. And quantum physics like postulates
Oh,
that it is possible for a particle to be black and white at the same time, right? Like the act of observing it can kind of
like Schrodinger's cat. Yeah, that observing something changes it.
yes, and until the moment you observe it, the cat is both in the box and not in the box, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think that what's happening is this particle that they irresponsibly created in space is allowing people who come into contact with it to experience, to like basically be in the same place, two places at once, or to experience two realities at the same time. And so you know, Joe is experiencing like she was in the space station and in her apartment like at the same time, and she's going back and forth or experiencing back and forth. You know, she has this business where she sees her kid in the bed, and then she also goes to this other house that's exactly like her house and finds her kid there, and she has two versions of her kid kind of in the house at the same time, except they never happen to see each other because they're not right. Like, I think that particle, she has the particle. We saw the particle in the car. She took it at some point in between what we haven't seen yet. She steals that, right?
Well, I don't know that. I can't remember if she stole it or was it just she wasn't giving it back. I can't remember.
But she handed it over as soon as she got off the capsule. She handed it over to.
Oh, that's right. She did go back and steal it. You're right. Right.
Well, we didn't see her go back and steal it. We don't really know, but I'm assuming. Look, she has it, and she previously didn't have it.
Yeah.
So either someone gave it to her or she stole it, but she has it, and she's doing all this like she says to her daughter, I don't think you're my daughter. And Alice is like, well, if you're not my mother, then who are you? Right? It was freaky and weird. And it made me think of this book when we were like doing all these down the rabbit hole games while we were watching Lost. Vincent recommended this book to us that's called Quantum. The title of the book is Quantum. And it's all about quantum physics. And it's like a dummy. It's like quantum physics for dummies. And I read it, and it like it's by who's it by? I have it here right in my living room right now, but it's not near the computer. And it's all about quantum mechanics, and I had read it, and I'm not saying that I could understand it or retain all of it, right? But we all like got really into quantum physics at the time. Quantum mechanic, not really into it, like, you know, like whatever. Anyway, I think that's what's happening. And I think so. We have our friend character. What is this character's name? Come on. Why can I not remember this character's name? Henry tells this story, or someone is like it becomes clear that Henry was on a mission and one of his colleagues died on the in space, right? Like he was on a Gemini or whatever mission, and he had to bring his dead colleague back to Earth. And I think that he is trying to fix that or trying to change that. And the reason he's so obsessed with this particle and was like, everyone's dying in space station, he's like, oh, I know you're maybe about to run out of oxygen, but can you make sure you retrieve my science experiment for me? And I think that he is like still racked with guilt about that, and he wants to fix that. Although he's clearly a very bad guy, because in these first 3 episodes, Jamie, is when he goes to speak at a science fiction convention, and he's got this nemesis who's like, the moon landing is not real. You didn't really walk on the moon, blah, blah. And he throws the guy over the side of the cruise ship and kills him. Like,
that's not what I expected.
I did not expect that either. I didn't think he was like, had that kind of like kind of rage inside him.
Yeah.
So he's the bad guy or a bad. Anyway,
Maybe.
it's so complicated, and we just recapped this very complicated thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it was slow.
Yeah, I was gonna say, really short version. She came back from space, and things are different, and things are messed up. That's my short recap.
Well, she thinks she's crazy, and other
Yeah,
people
she
think
thinks
she's
she's
crazy.
crazy. They think she's crazy, but we don't know.
But it's not just her. So her little girl
Yeah.
Alice was playing hide and seek, and she thought she saw her friend like ruin her stuffed rabbit. And then her friend was like, I didn't do that. Here's your stupid rabbit. So the daughter is also seeing.
Yeah, the daughter. Let's say, just so people know, it's the daughter of the dead astronaut. The kids kind of have a falling out.
Oh, yeah.
That's
So
kind of,
like, it's not like I'm so interested in like, it's not just Joe. It's like, is it everybody who was gotten close to the particle that they were like, some of them were within like the same vehicle convoy or in the same building as the particle, or is it happening to the whole world? Because like it could happen, like one atom could create, like I don't know.
yeah, I can't say.
Love it.
Let me. I don't know what I was gonna say. Oh, I know what I was gonna ask. Do you get what I was saying, that it kind of reminds you of Dark? Did you get sort of that tone feeling to it when you watched it so far, or not yet? I was just
no. I mean,
I don't know. It made me think of it. Like I said, it's not like time travel or anything, but it gave me that weird, I don't know, that weird, creepy, confusing kind of feeling that Dark did, I guess.
Well, I mean, I think it might give you the Dark. Dark had that feeling of like nothing is as it seems.
Right.
And like you can't trust what you see, and you can't trust what you experienced or what you think right now, right?
Or what the narrator says or anything else. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. I mean, it definitely gave me a feeling of loss, but only because we three of us went down this like quantum mechanics rabbit hole as a side thing of Lost, right?
Yeah. True.
So it gave me that feeling of like a really kind of thrilling time for all of us. It's complicated, but we're not afraid of complicated, the three of us, or the people who listen to this show. None of us are afraid of complicated. And everyone and everything is unreliable in this, which I kind of like also. So, I mean, I don't know. AJ now has listened to us like describe this for a while. I think AJ would like it. I think
you will.
Who are listening to us would like it, and should come on board and should trust Apple.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, again, like what we said, if you like the kind of stuff we normally like and talk about, you will like it. Just do give it a chance and realize that you will be confused, but it will make sense of it. Well, hopefully too, it'll make sense.
I wasn't paying attention.
Well, but you didn't want to be spoiled anyway, so that's okay. But watch it. That's my main.
Yeah, I will.
Watch it.
I mean, I also kind of like that this show, for now, appears to be grounded in legitimate science. I mean, okay, maybe
For
like
now.
maybe the size of the International Space
Well,
Station.
it's definitely grounded in science. I mean, it's science fiction, but it's grounded in quantum physics and things. So
Yes. Well, it's not grounded. It's not grounded in zombies, which is not
right.
which is not something.
It's more science fiction than fiction science fiction. I'd say, but in a good way.
Yeah, it's more science and less fantasy or whatever. So
yeah. Less that's a good way to describe it. It isn't like a super fantasy science fiction.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. So that leaves Resident Alien.
Yes.
Yep.
Episode
2.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of stuff happened in this episode. There's a whole bunch of stuff with Sheriff Mike after Detective Torres breaks up with him.
Mike's an idiot.
Mike's an idiot. There's a bunch of stuff with Asta and Joseph. There's a bunch of stuff with the main comedy is with Darcy and Harry, and
which was awesome.
And then there's also some stuff going on with the mayor and his foot.
Oh my God.
So I have a couple more extra. There's not a ton of pictures about like
He's got
available.
pictures of the foot. No.
Well, I do have a picture of.
Hey, he was telling him to take pictures of his
Wait, I
foot.
had another foot. I had another foot picture. There
I
it is.
didn't know you really did. I didn't realize that.
There's another foot picture. So let's take it from Mike. Mike's an idiot, right?
Yeah.
Like Detective Doris breaks up with him because she's like,
Detective Taurus is a forward, modern woman, and he has trouble accepting that. He doesn't like she pays for things. He doesn't like her being in control. He's kind of really old fashioned and
I mean, what really wraps up Mike is when he says to Liv. Oh, no, he didn't say. Sorry, not to Liv. To Ben, he goes, I like that she's an independent woman. He's like, it's kind of hot. He's like, but why can't I find an independent woman who does what she's told?
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
Like, think about what you're saying.
And she was really very cool in the scene because, like, she's not like, she could say, like, Mike, you're a chauvinist. I can't, right? But she says, like you are, like, I have my ways. You are set in your way. She's like, I don't want you to be uncomfortable dating me. She's like, I like you a lot. You're a good person. And she's like, despite his, if traditional or antiquated or whatever you think about the way he wants to be with women, she's like, look, I don't want you to be unhappy. It's really the most charitable breakup he's ever going to get because he's kind of a male chauvinist, right? And he doesn't really respect a woman's independence. And she's so great about it. He's an idiot. He's never going to find a woman who, like, right? But he's 100% unwilling to change.
Yeah.
I think he will. I think it's going to take some. It's really sad how, like, it's not even so much. He's oblivious to shit. Like, how many conversations has he had with Liv, and just totally missed the point of their conversation?
Yeah.
Like, he got mad at Liv at the beginning of the episode because her blueberry muffin had 6 blueberries on one side and only 2 on the other, and he didn't eat it because of that.
Yes, and he's very like totally. He's so unappreciative of the effort that she put in to bake those, right? Like, he's so oblivious. He's so self-absorbed. He is a chauvinist.
Yeah, he's not trying to be. I mean, it doesn't matter. He still is. But I mean, he's not trying to be mean. He's not a mean person. He just doesn't seem to get it.
He doesn't have a clue.
Like you said, oblivious.
He's totally unevolved also. And because it's a comedic TV show, we give him a pass, but really it's a pretty shitty way to be.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
Needs to be taught.
Yeah. So, he does have some great things with the mayor. So Ben and Kayla decide. Ben and Kate have why do they need money? They decide, well, they're going to sell the house.
Because of the owls.
Because of the owls. They need to move. I can't really remember exactly why they need money. It's before they decide not to sell, right? They eventually decide not to sell.
They don't need money. They don't need money. Sell because she wants to move.
Ben had this idea. He was going to put a pool in, and maybe that would convince Kate not to sell the house.
Right. But he can't afford the pool.
That's why he needed money.
He can't afford the pool. He needs money.
Right.
And so Sheriff Mike is going to post pictures of his foot on, like, a foot fetish website for money. People will pay money. It's like I guess it's like OnlyFans for feet. And people will pay money to see his Ben's very beautiful feet. And there's some pretty good comedy in this episode with the foot photo shoot, right?
Yeah.
The best part is when Liv opens the door and just like and just walks back out.
Yeah, she's like, no. Like, that's a big no.
You know what the best part is? The fact that they come up with this whole idea, and the whole point of it is so that he can see the tracker or whatever it is in his foot, so that he goes to Harry, so that Harry gets,
Well,
figures
Harry
out what the
sees it
Greys
as a
are up to.
tracker. He doesn't know what it is. I don't even
No,
think
no,
he
no, I
thinks
know.
anything of it, does he? He just sees a dot.
No, I know,
can't
but
even-
but
yeah,
that's what I'm
but yes,
saying,
that was
Jamie.
the point to lead
Is
up to that.
they go through all of that just to get us to that point.
Yeah.
Like this takes us here.
Yeah.
Where it's like, what's that dot on your foot? Oh, it's always been there all along. And Harry recognizes it as the tracker the Greys have put into his foot. It does include this kind of very creepy scene of Harry like questioning like a hypnotized Ben, which is very uncomfortable kind of a scene, right? But
I'm sorry. It's kind of I get what you're saying, creepy, but I felt like that scene was hilarious because first of all, I mean, I don't know, the Greys are hilarious to watch. Like the way
they are.
The Greys are, obviously it's a comedy show. They intentionally made the Greys, the stereotypical Greys, and just the gangly way they're walking, and they've got a collection of sneakers. And
Yeah.
they're dragging them
I
by,
forgot
they're
about
dragging
that, all
them by
the
the
shoes.
foot, by the foot. Like,
yeah, it's pretty. I mean, they are very, yeah.
and they have Liv Snow Globe.
And they have Liv Snow Globe. That because Liv is the kid in Yellowstone, right? So there are no shots on NBC of that little bit of backstory, but like the show opens with that sort of flashback scene of the little girl in Yellowstone, and she sees a Grey come out of the water and drops her snow globe. And there's a nice tuck. By the end of it, Ben and Kate decide not to sell the house. Like they admit that even though he's trying to like raise money to buy the pool, like they both admit to each other they really don't want to move. And they're like, instead, let's go on vacation. And they decide to go to Yellowstone on vacation, right? So I mean that seems to be moving along kind of nicely, that whole storyline there. Meanwhile, this also was sort of some really great storyline, I thought, right?
Yeah.
Where
their little spy thing.
So Asta is going to have dinner with Joseph while Darcy and Harry go break into Joseph's apartment. And they just are, I mean, these two are the Keystone Cops from start to finish, right? Like, I loved all this. Did you guys enjoy? So I only got this little vertical shot. It looks kind of weird. I love that Harry can like climb right up the side of the building, but he's almost useless when he gets up there. And Darcy's like, "Don't you have any powers? ET could she goes right to ET, and it I love it upsets Harry so much. That was a really fun scene, I thought. Right?
Yeah,
and then,
I love when she throws the rope the first time. He goes, "Oops, I missed it."
And then she yells, he gets the rope, and then he's like swinging it back and forth, purposely swinging her back, and he's like,
You know what it reminded me of when she was climbing up the side of the building, the Adam West Batman.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that old timey stuff. They get inside the apartment. The pizza is at the forefront, right? And
the pizza was the trap, right? I think I remember right.
No, the pepper chips were the trap.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Why would somebody put pepper chips over there?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
They fall into the trap. That all is very fun too. Like there's that part where Harry says, "Oh no, I'm trapped, but humans are not trapped. You can walk right out," and she can't walk it, right? Like,
it was 50-50.
Yeah.
That was all really fun. This might have been my most favorite scene, where Joseph is questioning Asta, and he's like, give me answers, I'll kill them. And her answers are hilarious.
She starts telling him about Mork and Mindy.
I believed it. Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah. And I, I mean, I watched that show as a kid. AJ, you might have. Jamie,
Yeah.
I watched some of it. I didn't watch a lot of it, but I've seen it there.
And she's like, oh, I forget his boss's name. I think it was Orson. She feeds him on Joseph. I mean, Joseph's like, oh yeah, like this was a really fun, a really great piece of little comedy writing, I thought. And
I love the fact that he ate it up too. Like I was like, wait, it's funny when she first said Mork from Ork. I was like, oh my god, he's not. And then he was like, okay, see, was that so hard? I'm like, oh my god, he's buying this.
Well, they don't know.
No, I love it, and I love that. Like this show, they have all these shout outs. Like in this episode, they also reference CT, right? Like there's all these shout outs to like all of our classic Alien kind of stuff, and I'm waiting for them to reference Alf maybe next week. Who knows, right?
Yeah. Oh, Alf! I loved Alf growing up. That was my show.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's all really fun. I really like Joseph as a character, as a Grey, right? Like, I love his little insult matches with Harry all the time.
They're so awkward.
Right? They're so awkward, and Harry's so dumb, and yet Harry seems to always sort of get the one up at the end.
Yeah.
He's a good addition, I think. He's really fun. And then there's the foot. There are no in the press site this week. There were no photos of the kids posted. I don't think. I didn't see any pictures of Max. There's this other little there's this like kind of side story where like we know Sahar had to leave to go to like her magnet school wherever she went, right? She went to like another school somewhere. And so Max is home and he's got to find like some new friends, and he does find like a couple of new friends, and it seems to all like focus on him trying to convince them that aliens are real, so they'll like him. Like he's kind of a nerdy kid who doesn't have like a ton of friends, right?
Yeah.
It was Sahara, that was it.
Yeah.
That's why she was trying to find him new friends.
Yeah.
It's okay. He's the alien tracker who then zaps himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of was like, oh, the new alien tracker, like, what's that all about? Like, he's not, like, remember at the end of last season when Harry was going to leave, and Max is like, oh, you love me too much, I know you won't leave, we're friends. He's a little adversarial.
It's just Max being Max. It's their little banter.
I guess, yeah. At any rate, all of that is not really necessarily working as well. I don't know. I hope that storyline will find its footing a little bit sooner, right?
Yeah. So some news. I don't know if you guys read this, but some news on what happened with Sahar. Apparently, the actress, there was some scheduling conflicts, which is why they had her write her out of this season. But she'll be back next. If it gets renewed for another season, she'll be back.
Oh, so she's out for the whole season. She might not be back at all for this year. It's already shot, right? I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, apparently there was some kind of scheduling conflicts. But
that's too bad, but hopefully she's shooting a great new show or a great movie or something, I hope. Yeah. Because I like the actress. Her name is Gracelyn Rink, right?
Yes.
I like Gracelyn Rink, and I like Sahar as a character. And I think, okay, so I have seen very little of Max without Sahar. I like him better with Sahar for now. He might come into his own as a character without her. We'll see. So I don't know. Do you guys like where it's going with like the whole?
Yeah, I think it's fun this season.
Yeah.
Was Linda Hamilton in this one? I feel like she was in this one too.
She just at the very end, she just had a minute there
Okay.
where she calls Harry, and what the hell did she ask? She asked him something, and he like acted like the phone was breaking up, and he hung up on her. And she's got something going on because one of her people come in. He's like, "Why didn't you tell him about this?" And she's like, "Because he doesn't need to know." So there's something else going on there.
Yeah, I think maybe they'll find a little more for her to do in coming episodes. She's a little bit not central right now.
I mean, it's only the second episode, so.
No, and it does seem like half the town is on the verge of finding out. Like the people who know about aliens.
In the comics, they know. The town knows, so it could happen.
They know from the beginning, or they find out.
I don't know, but they've mentioned multiple times that the town
probably gradually find out.
Kind of protect them. So.
I mean, think about it, first it's Asta, and then her dad, and now Darcy, and I mean Ben and Kate are being abducted.
Oh yeah.
So it's
I
all
think
headed
funny
that
if
way.
Judy finds out, just because Judy's hilarious, and not that like it's somebody we necessarily need to find out, but I think it'd be funny if she did. I'm sure.
Well, and
there.
You're making me think of when Asta's father says to Joseph, "Oh, so you're an alien? Like big whoop! You can't swing a dead cat in this town without hitting an alien."
Yeah. He's like, I'm not scared of you.
And speaking of Judy, Judy finally got her. Things finally worked out for Judy. She finally got her wish. Apparently, she took Mike home.
Oh yes, that's right. Oh my God, huge, right? He's so bummed about breaking up with Detective Taurus. He wakes up with Judy. That is going to have some ramifications next week for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that.
That's some great ramifications. It's funny.
Yeah. Sheriff Mike had some blackout sex because he woke up, looked over, and was like, "Oh, what am I doing here?"
Yeah.
Actually, actually, hold on though. We're assuming they had sex. I could totally see the type of storyline where he goes around thinking that they had sex, and it turns out that he passed out at the bar, and she just brought him home. She didn't know what else to do with him.
Yep.
That's funny.
Yep, that could happen.
That would make it even funnier.
Good. That'd be hilarious. Yeah, and Judy would let him think it. Yeah. So, all right. Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens next week.
Yep.
All right.
And speaking of next week, we've got this. And what else?
That's the same stuff we talked about this week, pretty much.
Quantum Leap's done. I feel like something else.
Oh, not Quantum Leap, yeah.
I feel like.
Shogun.
I know, Karen. I was just gonna say, Karen and I are gonna talk about Shogun next week.
No, I'm gonna watch it too. When's it start?
It started last night.
Oh, well, okay. I'll watch
tonight.
it.
No, tonight. It comes out tonight.
It was tonight.
Well, it's probably already been on. It'll be on Hulu, I think. So.
Yeah, it's on Hulu.
I'll have to catch it. Yeah, because I want to see the premiere, see if I like it. I do want to check it out.
Artie comes to me tonight and says, "Hey, there's this new show that I think looks pretty cool. I want to know if you had any interest in watching it." I'm like, "What's it called?" He's like, "Shogun." I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, we're watching that. Yeah.
Yep.
So, all right.
There's another. It's an Amazon Studios. I'm like, is it on Amazon though? I think so. I probably should double check that. But I have here. Wait, let me look this up really quick. I'm talking to you guys because I want to mention something. What I'm doing tomorrow. I just want to make sure I'm right that it's actually on Amazon before I say that. It's on Freevee. Okay, it's on Freevee on the 28th. That's tomorrow. It's called Boat Story. It's sort of this really black comedic thriller with Daisy Haggard and Patterson Joseph that is about basically they find this boat with a buttload of cocaine, and decide that they are going to sell this cocaine. It's not as funny per se as I expected to be. I mean, like I said, it's very, very dark comedy, if you're going to call it comedy. It's like a black comedy, I would call it. But but I'm liking it so far. I'm not done with it yet, but I have press for that tomorrow. So I'm in the process of watching that. But that actually starts to. Oh wait, yeah. No, the press day. I'm sorry, I thought it said it aired tomorrow. The press day is tomorrow. It does not say when it airs. It just says coming to Freebie. Well,
Yeah.
anyway, it's on Freebie. Oh, there it is, March 12th. I apologize. There's 6 episodes, so that's out next month. But I'm enjoying it so far.
I'm
And
also.
then there's that.
Go
Yeah.
ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just trying to think if there's anything else. I also watched this movie called Cabrini, which comes out, I think, the 8th in the theater. Yeah, March 8th in the theater. I didn't know what to expect of that. It's a biopic of this woman, Cabrini, who she ends up later a saint. It's a true story. I really enjoyed it. I did that today, but I don't know that that's really you guys' type. You guys' don't you love my grammar? Is really of show you would necessarily. I think Karen might like it, but I don't know. I liked it. It was really good. I was surprised. It's kind of inspirational. It's
All
good.
right.
I liked it. But
Yeah.
but the main thing, like I said, is Boat Story is
Yeah.
next month as well.
Well, and I'm thinking about. I did not watch The Swarm when it dropped on the CW, but I'm thinking about watching The Swarm, which is about like it's a German show, and it's about like scientists who discover like the ocean's animals start acting weird, and they discover there's like some sort of like group intelligence that is like existing in the ocean. Like and it might be good, or I don't know, I might check it out because we got a slow period, so I'll watch it, and next week I'll tell you if you should watch it or not.
Ark is gonna watch Shogun. He's too.
All right, good. We're watching Shogun.
He's gonna watch it.
I watched
Yeah,
it
we're all
when it
watching
aired. I was too young really to watch it when it aired. I watched it, but I couldn't appreciate it, I don't think. So I'm looking forward to watching it.
Yeah, I want to see it. I think it's gonna be good.
All right.
All right.
All right.
The only other thing I was going to say is I did not. I've had so much going on this week. I am finishing up at least the Rishon designs for the Fandom Vision store. So I know I mentioned that last week. It's not ready yet, but at least on Redbubble under Fandom Vision, it will be soon, and I'll post that to social media once those T-shirts and stuff go live, and people can help support the site.
Great.
So yeah, there's that.
All right.
Okay. Well, is there anything? I'm trying to think. Is there anything else? I don't think
Nope.
there's anything else that was on.
I think that's a wrap.
For this week.
Yep.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you for everybody. If you listened to us this long, it's been a while. We're going on 1 hour 40. So thanks everybody who joined us, and we will be back next week talking about the rest.
We won't have double and triple episodes of shows to discuss, so we'll be a little faster.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, and thanks to NDD Media and to Roger for hosting us here.
As always, thank you, and we appreciate it. And we're getting better at this, as I noticed the banners. You can still see the background, but at least we're getting better at putting the pictures up, even if we're not quite.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Good night, you
All
guys.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Have a good night.
Stick a fork in us. We're done.
Okay.